When it came to mounted combat, the rings were second to none. 30 years ago, they had swept through the empire like an unstoppable force, cutting down soldiers like wheat and leaving entire cities in ruins. The empire, once a vast dominion with 20 cantons and over 100 cities, had been powerless against them. The devastation had left deep scars, so much so that even now, imperial soldiers suffered from Ragnar phobia, shuddering at the mere mention of the Ring clan. There was even an old saying, if the rings number more than 10,000, they cannot be beaten. But sayings were just words. Meeting them in battle was an entirely different matter. Huril himself had stepped onto the battlefield and killed 11 warriors in succession. The so-called righteous volunteers, once filled with bravado, now trembled in fear, none daring to take another step forward. Then, General Lu Hong broke the silence. "I'll fight you." Huril's smirk deepened as he raised his axe. "Good. I was getting bored." The battle began in an instant. The two warriors clashed, exchanging powerful blows. Lu Hong fought with all his might, his sword barely deflecting Huril's crushing strikes. But Huril was relentless. With one devastating swing, he struck Lu Heng's hand, knocking his sword away and sent him flying from his horse. Lying on the ground, Lu Hong clenched his teeth in frustration. One round. He had lasted only one round. His pride stung as he realized just how strong these barbarians were. Above him, Huril loomed, his axe raised for the killing blow. Lu Hong stared up, knowing he wouldn't be able to dodge in time. Just as the axe was about to fall, "Qin Man, kill him!" Chang Dao Lei's voice thundered across the battlefield. Huril hesitated, momentarily thrown off by the interruption. From the distance, Qin Man charged forward, his weapon ready. Huril's lips curled into an amused smirk. "More sacrifices? Fine by me." With one effortless swing, he shattered Qin Man's weapon, the broken shards scattering across the ground. Qin Man cursed under his breath. "Damn these makeshift weapons." From behind, Lu Hong shouted and tossed his own weapon toward Qin Man. Qin Man caught it midair, his grip tightening as he prepared for another round. Huril twirled his axe lazily. "I'll show you what the Storm Tomahawk can really do." Qin Man's response was a defiant roar as he charged forward again. The battle resumed, their weapons clashing in a fierce duel. Their horses slammed into each other, muscles straining against the force. Spectators marveled at Huril's technique, awed by the terrifying power behind each of his swings. Chang Dao Lei, however, was growing increasingly livid. "That AXE is mine, damn it." Xiao Yu, watching from the side, noted, "He's a good rider." Chang Dao Lei's mind raced. In terms of raw strength, Qin Man and Huril were equal. But when it came to horsemanship, Huril had the advantage. If this continued, Qin Man would lose. "Qin Man, retreat," Chang Dao Lei ordered. Huril chuckled as Qin Man pulled back. "Ha! Running away already? Ever since I got this axe, I haven't lost a single fight." His arrogance was unbearable. Zhang Fei clenched his fists. "That's it. I'll take him on." Zhang Fei stepped forward, blade in hand, ready to challenge Huril. But Chang Dao Lei grabbed his shoulder, holding him back. "Not now," Chang Dao Lei said firmly. "Give it 10 years, and you might stand a chance." Zhang Fei grumbled but didn't move. Shinji looked at Chang Dao Lei expectantly. A heavy silence hung in the air. Then, "I'll fight him." Everyone turned to Chang Dao Lei. Outside Black Rock City, Shinji looked worried. "Boss, are you sure about this?" Chang Dao Lei smirked, exuding confidence. "I've still got a trick up my sleeve." He strode toward Huril, his expression dark. "Think you can handle me?" Huril, skeptical, tilted his head. "Oh? And what exactly can you do?" Chang Dao Lei's eyes burned with intensity. "You'll find out soon enough." Huril's horse shifted uneasily, sensing the tension. "I only need one trick," Chang Dao Lei declared, activating the system. Inside his mind, he desperately prayed. "Come on, system. Give me something good. A top-tier warrior. Something that'll make sure Huril dies today." The system whirred to life. The gacha machine spun, then crashed as if it had been forcefully smashed. "Congratulations," the system announced. "You've obtained the legendary martial arts book 10-Mile Spear from General Zhang Yida." Chang Dao Lei's face went blank. Silence. Awkward silence. Huril raised an eyebrow. What the hell was that?" Even Chung Dao Lei's horse looked confused. Trying to recover from the absolute humiliation, Chung Dao Lei forced an awkward smile. "Oh, I was just trying to lighten the mood. Things were getting a bit too serious. You know?" Hurl's expression darkened. "Do you take me for a fool?" No, of course not." Chung Dao Lei hurriedly waved his hands. Then he turned to his men. "Run! Get back here, you cowards!" Hurl roared, spurring his horse forward. Kin Man grabbed Chung Dao Lei's arm. "I'll hold him off. You guys go ahead." "No," Chung Dao Lei snapped. "Our revenge can wait. We're leaving together." And with that, they turned tail and fled. Kai Hu, leading the barbarian charge, roared for his warriors to follow the prince and slaughter anyone in their way. Chaos erupted as the terrified volunteer soldiers scrambled back toward the city, trampling over each other in their desperate retreat. Meanwhile, Chung Dao Lei's system beeped wildly as fear points skyrocketed from hundreds to thousands. The barbarians showed no mercy. Anyone too slow to escape was cut down where they stood, men, horses, and anything unfortunate enough to be caught in their path. An army in full retreat was no better than a crumbling dam, its collapse inevitable. In the midst of the panic, Chung Dao Lei cast a glance backward, his grip tightening on the reins. His stomach twisted at the sight of Hurl, locked onto him like a predator, eyes burning with murderous intent. "What is with this guy?" Chung Dao Lei muttered. "Why does he look like I killed his entire family?" His horse, as if sensing its master's unease, flicked its ears and snorted nervously. The Rings were a brutal people, their homeland a barren, windswept place far from civilization. To the Empire, they were nothing more than savages, barbarians. The border garrisons had long entertained themselves by hurling insults at the Rings, mocking their lack of refinement. But when words failed them, the Rings had a simple solution: they just beat the loudest one to death. Chung Dao Lei yanked on his reins and yelled, "Run, damn you!" His horse obeyed, galloping faster as he mentally cursed himself. "If only I'd trained harder. If only I weren't just some half-baked fighter relying on dumb luck." The humiliation burned hotter than the fear. He was panting like a dog, running for his life while Hurl closed in behind him. Meanwhile, the barbarians continued their ruthless slaughter, driving Chung Dao Lei's fear points past 830,000. And still, he clung to one desperate hope. 1 million fear points, that's all I need. Then the system will let me summon someone. He glanced back again, meeting Hurl's bloodthirsty gaze. For just a moment, Hurl hesitated, caught off guard by the sheer intensity in Chung Dao Lei's eyes. But then he shook it off, his rage doubling. "I'll kill you, Chung Dao Lei," he bellowed. Kin Man tried to intervene, lunging at Hurl to slow him down. "Get lost," Hurl snarled, his axe swinging. Kin Man barely managed to deflect the blow, but his horse wasn't as lucky. The poor beast collapsed, throwing him to the ground. But Hurl didn't even spare Kin Man another glance. His target was still Chung Dao Lei. 1 million fear points. Come on. Chung Dao Lei gritted his teeth so hard that blood dripped from his lips. Then his horse stumbled. The world lurched. Chung Dao Lei was thrown off, tumbling violently across the ground. The impact rattled his bones, and for a moment, he lay there, dazed. Blood splattered onto the dirt. The system beeped again. 1 million reached. Desperate, Chung Dao Lei sent his request to the system. The screen lit up, filling his vision with words. "The heartbeats of the people shall bring forth the light of the stars." Countless emotions collide across time and space, summoning a hero who shall shake the world. OH for the love of skip. Just skip it. Chung Dao Lei screamed. The system dinged. "Congratulations. You have summoned a top military general." His mind raced. "Who? Long Kai? Gong Sun Long? Lian Long? Wait, Chung Long? Who the hell was that? This system is screwing with me." Chung Dao Lei muttered darkly. No time to figure it out now. Hurl was almost upon him. For a brief, terrifying moment, Chung Dao Lei considered that this might actually be the end. Am I really gonna die here? Then, his gaze locked onto Hurl's horse. His own horse. The same horse he had mistreated for months. The same horse that now had a very guilty look in its eyes. Chung Dao Lei silently pleaded. "Come on, buddy. We've been through so much together." The horse snorted. Then it reared up and kicked Hurl off its back. Hurl hit the ground with a grunt, stunned by the betrayal. Seizing the chance, Chung Dao scrambled up, grabbed the reins, and swung onto his horse. "Eat dust, Huerl!" he shouted, spurring the horse into a full sprint. Huerl roared in fury. "My horse, you thief!" Too late. Chung Dao was already gone. But as he fled, something odd caught his eye. A man stood on a bridge ahead. As Chung Dao thundered past, the man casually called out, "Hey, have you ever seen a handsome gentleman with picturesque eyebrows and a graceful posture?" Chung Dao actually stopped. He turned back, brow furrowed. "What?" The man smiled innocently. Then Huerl rode past. The man casually called out to him too. "Brave warrior, you look in a hurry." Huerl growled, "Get lost." Chung Dao, still watching, suddenly swerved back to the bridge. With a dramatic flourish, he declared, "The handsome gentleman you seek is me." The man smirked, then winked. Chung Dao's confident grin faltered. "Wait, are you the handsome gentleman with picturesque eyebrows and a graceful posture?" The man chuckled but didn't answer. Chung Dao hesitated, then guessed, "Zhao Yun." The man simply shook his head. Chung Dao stared. "Who the hell is this guy?" Chung Dao eyed the man suspiciously. "And you are?" The man smirked, tilting his head ever so slightly. "Just a mediocre name you've probably never heard of." Then, as if the name itself was unremarkable, he casually introduced himself. "Zhao Zilong, from Chang Mountain." Chung Dao nearly choked on air. "That's a mediocre name?" He scoffed. "Might as well introduce yourself as just some guy while you're at it." As he processed this new revelation, the rest of his group caught up, shouting his name and reassuring him that they had come to rescue him. Zilong, ever composed, merely observed the situation unfold. Chung Dao squinted at him. "Wait, do you know someone in my crew?" Zilong's lips curled slightly. "Yeah, someone's been asking for me." Before Chung Dao could press him for details, Huerl was back, roaring with rage. "Chung Dao!" His axe came down like a thunderbolt. Chung Dao barely had time to yank his reins and pull his horse aside. He braced for impact, but the attack never came because Zilong, with nothing more than a subtle movement, had dodged it effortlessly. Chung Dao gawked. Even his horse let out a terrified whinny. Huerl, still seething, snapped his gaze to Zilong. "Who the hell are you? Get out of my way." Zilong let out a sharp laugh. "Oh, I'm in your way?" Huerl's fury boiled over. He swung his axe again, but Zilong simply wasn't there. His movement so fluid it was as if he never existed in the first place. Finally, Zilong unwrapped the fabric covering his weapon, revealing a pristine, gleaming spear. He twirled it effortlessly and smirked. "Fine, I'll take your head." At that moment, the system chimed in. Character introduction. Zhao Zilong, a top-grade warrior, age 15, master of the White Bird Pilgrim Spear. Chung Dao read the description and muttered under his breath. 15. How do these freaks keep showing up? Meanwhile, Huerl's forces had fully scattered the volunteer army, leaving Black Rock City's soldiers scrambling in terror. Kai Hu, noticing the shift, barked an order. Get some men to retrieve the troops. We need to reinforce the prince." The battlefield was descending into absolute chaos. Zilong, however, remained unfazed. He knew Huerl's strength came from brute force, but brute force had its weaknesses. He strategized in his mind. The Ring clan is nearly unmatched on horseback. If I let him control the pace, I lose. But if I knock him off his horse first. His grip on his spear tightened. Then, in an instant, his weapon ignited with a fiery glow. With a single, powerful leap, Zilong shot toward Huerl, his movements like a storm. The impact of their weapons clashing sent shockwaves across the battlefield. Huerl snarled as he swung wildly, but Zilong evaded every attack with ease, landing precise strikes that left Huerl staggering. "I gotta say," Zilong remarked mockingly, "for someone who swings an axe all day, your technique is completely without refinement." Huerl's expression darkened. "Oh, and your footwork? Beastly." Zilong twirled his spear. "Which, I guess, suits you." Huerl roared in frustration, his axe cleaving through the air. But then Zilong's movements blurred. The White Bird Pilgrim Spear whipped through the battlefield like a gust of wind, each strike a precise and lethal execution. A smirk played on Zilong's lips. Wild beasts are nothing against a hunter. Hurel barely had time to react before Zilong's final blow landed. The force of the strike sent Hurel flying from his horse, blood splattering across the ground. The battlefield fell silent. From the distance, the barbarians screamed his name, panicked and desperate. The young Prince Dash. But before they could reach him, Qin Man and Xiao Yu intercepted them, leading their forces into battle to block the barbarians' advance. Back at the scene of the fight, Zilong landed gracefully, exhaling as if the battle had been nothing more than a warm-up. "That's one idiot out of my way," he muttered. Chang Dao Lei, still astride his horse, stared at him with wide eyes. Even his horse looked shocked. Then Zilong turned to him, his gaze sharp. "Let's get something straight." Chang Dao Lei blinked. "Huh, I'm not your guy," Zilong said flatly. "I'm only here because Little Bai asked me to be." Chang Dao Lei's thoughts raced. Top-tier warriors don't follow just anyone. There's gotta be some hidden condition to keep him on my side. His musings were cut short as Zilong glanced toward the battlefield. "Liu Bei and the others must be over there," he mused. "Wonder if they got themselves into trouble." Then, without warning, Zilong turned back to Chang Dao Lei. "I need your horse." "What?" Zilong was already reaching for the reins. "Your horse. Lend it to me." Chang Dao Lei scowled. "Excuse me, I need my horse. Unlike you, I don't have a built-in cheat code for dodging death." Zilong gave him a look. "The rings are unmatched in cavalry. If you let Hurel get back on a horse, you're dead." He pointed at Hurel, who was already struggling to stand, his face twisted in rage and blood staining his mouth. "I wounded his right arm," Zilong continued. "Take his horse. Don't let him mount again." Before Chang Dao Lei could argue, Zilong snatched the reins from his hands and rode off. Chang Dao Lei was left standing in the dust, staring after him. "Did I just get robbed?" Hurel, staggering back to his feet, wiped the blood from his lips and glared at Chang Dao Lei with unfiltered hatred. The dust and smoke swirled around them. It was just the two of them now. Chang Dao Lei inhaled sharply, gripping his swords as the icy air filled his lungs. Hurel raised his axe, eyes burning. Chang Dao Lei lunged. Hurel swung. The battle resumed. Blades clashed, sparks flying in the moonlight. Chang Dao Lei fought with everything he had, refusing to back down. Hurel, despite his injuries, fought like a beast, his attacks relentless and savage. With every strike, Chang Dao Lei reminded himself, don't show weakness, don't show fear, and above all, don't turn your back on the beast. Their fight raged on, neither willing to fall. And in the distance, Zilong smirked, watching it all unfold. Hulei spat the words out like venom. "You're nothing but a dog bandit." Chang Dao Lei had no time for insults. The moment Hulei swung his axe, he ducked, the blade slicing through empty air. Then, in a single swift counterattack, Chang Dao Lei's sword found its mark. Hulei let out a sharp cry as blood gushed from his hands. The axe slipped from his grip. Stumbling backward, Hulei collapsed onto the ground, panting. He grit his teeth, his voice strained with rage and disbelief. "You, damn bandit." Chang Dao Lei leveled his sword at him, his expression cold. "You really don't get it, do you?" He scoffed. "Stealing means you lose a hand. And what were you doing? Stealing horses? That makes you a horse thief." A cry rang out from the distance. The barbarians saw everything. One of them screamed, "Young prince!" But before they could react, Zilong stormed through on horseback. His spear flashed like lightning, cutting down Kai Hu in one smooth motion. Blood spurted as Kai Hu choked, his body convulsing before slumping lifelessly. Hulei, helpless, could only watch. His lips trembled as he let out a desperate, furious scream. Kai Hu! Seizing his anger, he tried to rise. He roared at Chang Dao Lei, his body trembling with exhaustion and fury. "You think you've won? I'll kill you." Chang Dao Lei didn't flinch. Without a word, he swung. Blood splattered across his blade. Hulei staggered, his lips parting in silent shock as he collapsed to his knees. Even as the life drained from him, he still muttered, "Damn, bandit." Chang Dao Lei gazed down at him, then spoke. "Tell me, Hulei, do you believe in justice?" Hulei, panting, glared at him but said nothing. Chang Dao Lei continued, his voice unwavering. They say that when the day of reckoning comes, the wicked will have nowhere to hide, that the strong do not exist to terrorize the weak, but to punish the wicked. His grip on his sword tightened, and when that day arrives, those who deserve to live will live. Hu Lei coughed, blood trickling from his lips. Chang Dao Lei pointed his sword to the sky. Tell me, Hu Lei, how high is the sky? Hu Lei's gaze wavered. Then, Chang Dao Lei pointed downward. And how white is the snow? Slowly, he slid his sword back into its sheath. His eyes fell on the axe. Hu Lei saw it too. With the last of his strength, he snarled, "That's my axe, the Storm Tomahawk." Chang Dao Lei lifted the weapon, its weight familiar in his hands. He scoffed, "Your axe?" His eyes burned with fury. "You dare to claim what isn't yours?" With a furious cry, he swung. The axe cleaved downward, ending Hu Lei in an instant. Blood painted the snow stark red against the white. Standing over the carnage, Chang Dao Lei declared, "The sky is high, the snow is white, and this axe dash," he wiped the blood from his face. "This axe was never yours." A silence settled over the battlefield. Not far away, General Lu Heng watched the scene unfold, his breath caught in his throat. The young prince of the northern barbarians was dead, killed not by imperial soldiers, not by an army, but by a group of mountain bandits. Chang Dao Lei turned his blood-stained gaze toward the general, meeting his eyes. General Lu Heng swallowed hard. Chang Dao Lei's voice rang out. "His head is yours." Kin Man, ever the practical one, tossed the fallen Storm Tomahawk toward General Lu Heng. "Here, we're done here." Chang Dao Lei sheathed his sword and turned to his men. "We're leaving." They rode off, leaving the battlefield behind. General Lu Heng could only watch. As they traveled, Chang Dao Lei frowned. "Wait, where's our strategist?" Kin Man chuckled. "Probably hiding. He said he'd be behind that tree stump over there." Sure enough, there was a muffled yelp, and the strategist sheepishly poked his head out from behind the tree. Hours later, they reached Shun Ji's location. Chang Dao Lei turned to Zilong. "You've been looking for Liu Bei, right?" Zilong nodded. Curious, Chang Dao Lei pressed further. "How do you know him?" Zilong exhaled. "That's a long story, but he told it anyway." His full name was Zhao Zilong, not Zhao Yun. He was from Chang Mountain in Jinding country. His family fled to Zhua country because of the plague, but his parents didn't make it. Before they died, they entrusted him to Zhang Fei's family. The locals in Zhua country never accepted him, but Liu Bei and his brothers did. Liu Bei, in particular, admired him greatly. Later, he was taken in as a student by a martial artist named Tong and trained for 5 years. When he returned to Zhua country, he found that Liu Bei and his brothers had joined a mountain bandit group after committing a murder. He tracked them down, and now here they were. Zilong finished his story and crossed his arms. "Since Liu Bei has settled in Toad Village, I'll be joining too. Might as well stick around." Chang Dao Lei grinned. "I'd be honored." Kin Man clapped a hand on Zilong's shoulder. "You saved our hides today. If you hadn't shown up, we'd still be dealing with those bastards." Zilong shrugged. "Courage is just the ability to ignore the fear of death." Xiao Yu chuckled, tapping Zilong's shoulder. "Didn't expect you to be such a good fighter at your age. How'd you do it?" Zilong smirked. "If your heart isn't afraid, you can do anything." Zhang Fei let out a hearty laugh. "Damn right. You'd charge through 1,000 troops without breaking a sweat." Zilong's grin widened. "The spear is like a thunderclap, swift and deadly." Chang Dao Lei studied him, something about his words striking a chord deep within him. He blocked Zilong's path for a moment, staring him down, lost in thought. Zilong, unfazed, raised an eyebrow. "You in my way for a reason?" Chang Dao Lei's eye twitched. "You sure think highly of yourself." Zilong grinned and shrugged. Chang Dao Lei exhaled, changing the subject. "Xiao Yu, what about your weapon?" Xiao Yu dismissed it. "It was just an ordinary blade. I'll get another." As they continued on, Chang Dao Lei's thoughts drifted. The rings, only a few dozen of them, had managed to terrorize hundreds. What if next time there were thousands? The Empire barely resisted them 30 years ago. Could they stop another invasion? He recalled his discussions with Xing Zai. For years, Wu soldiers debated how to counter the Ring's cavalry. Some argued for infantry formations, others for heavily armored units. But as he replayed the battles in his mind, Chung Dao-lei knew one thing. This war wasn't over. Some argued that defending the city was the best strategy after all. No matter how well the rings rode, sieging a fortified city wasn't easy. Others pushed for improving cavalry skills, but the empire lacked both quality horses and skilled riders. In the end, Chung Dao-lei concluded that maybe there was a better way. The rings weren't invincible. Today's battle had proved that. Lost in thought, Chung Dao-lei suddenly remembered something and handed it to Zhang Fei. Zhang Fei's eyes widened. Meanwhile, back in Black Rock City, the truth behind White Wolf's robbery was being whispered among bandits. She had used her charm, her wit, and a bit of deception to outmaneuver her marks. One had asked Gao Fei Bao how much he'd made, only for Apricot Blossom Bandit members to snicker about all the valuables she'd taken right under his nose. Back in the mountains, Chung Dao-lei shook his head. "You really made a mess of things, White Wolf." She only laughed, seemingly enjoying his frustration. Gao Fei Bao crossed his arms. "You're one to talk, Toad King, acting all righteous when you're no better than the rest of us." He squinted. "So, how'd you do this time?" Chung Dao-lei flashed a smug grin. "Full profit." Gao Fei Bao scoffed. "Yeah, right?" Meanwhile, in Toad Village, Sen Yuan stood on the watchtower, scanning the distance when, thwack, an arrow struck the tower, barely missing him. San Yuan's face darkened. "Intruders!" He glared down at the group below, irritated. "Gao, you really gotta start with violence? Ever heard of talking first?" Gao, standing with a host of bandits, remained calm. "Come on, Manager Huang. We're all just trying to make a living here." His voice was almost casual. "Open the gate. No one has to get hurt." San Yuan scoffed. "How about no? We wait for Chung Dao-lei." Gao's expression stiffened. He knew that if Chung Dao-lei returned, Toad Village wouldn't fall so easily, and he really didn't want to deal with him. Meanwhile, all of King Nyo Mountain's bandit groups had gathered: the Tiger Village, the Wild Boar Forest, the Bald Slope, the Doghead Ridge, the Double Bear Gang, the Apricot Ridge. They were all here. San Yuan paled. "All of them?" Gao smirked. "I'll give you 10 seconds, Manager Huang." The countdown began. San Yuan turned to Guan Yu. "We're dead. We're actually dead. Got any ideas?" Guan Yu, unimpressed, peered at the bandits. "They're just a bunch of dogs and cats." San Yuan swallowed. You do see the one with the king tattoo on his forehead, right?" Guan Yu nodded. "Yeah. He's basically got, 'Come take my head' written on his face." Gao continued his countdown. 7. San Yuan narrowed his eyes at Guan Yu. "Something feels familiar about him." "Guan Yu." San Yuan took a deep breath. "You do have some skills, right?" Gao reached 6. "Guess we'll find out," Guan Yu muttered. As Chung Dao-lei and his group arrived at the outskirts of Toad Village, he immediately spotted a horde of bandits lingering outside the gates. His brows furrowed. What the hell are they doing here? Before he could process the situation, his fear points spiked into the hundreds. Gao Fei Bao's eyes twitched. Of all times, he had to show up now? Chung Dao-lei, confused by both the fear points and the nervous glances exchanged among the bandits, couldn't help but smirk. "Why are you lot scared? I haven't even done anything yet." From the watchtower, San Yuan called down, "Boss, these guys were about to rob us." Chung Dao-lei's smile vanished. "Oh." At his signal, Qin Man and Zai Long moved in unison, their weapons drawn and aimed directly at Gao Fei Bao and White Wolf. Zai Long's spear leveled at Gao's throat. "Stand still." Qin Man did the same to White Wolf. White Wolf blinked. "Wait, Chung Dao-lei, hold on. We're all on the same side here." Chung Dao-lei scoffed. "Apricot Ridge was about to rob my village. You still want to call us the same side?" White Wolf hesitated. He turned his glare to Gao. "And you, I thought we were on good terms." Gao raised his hands. "Don't blame me. We're all just trying to make a living." "Oh, so now my village is your new business venture?" Chung Dao-lei sneered. Without missing a beat, he pointed his sword at Gao Fei Bao's throat. "Here's how this goes: you all leave. Right now. If you do, I'll pretend none of this ever happened." He pressed the blade closer. "Or you can stay, and I'll let my spear do the talking." Meanwhile, just outside Toad Village, Gao stood with his men, watching the standoff with a storm brewing behind his eyes. "Karan, standing beside him, calmly remarked, "A true man is not without venom. We've come too far to back down now." Gao's jaw clenched. "That's my brother you're talking about." Gao Fei Bao, still in Chung Dao Lei's grip, overheard the conversation and snarled, "Karan, if I live through this, you're dead." Karan merely blinked at him, unimpressed. Before the situation could escalate, Chung Dao Lei clapped his hands and addressed the gathered bandits. "All right, listen up. Whoever brings me Gao's head, step forward." Zhang Fei cracked his knuckles. "Ha! Taking the head of a general from a 10,000-man army is as easy as reaching into my own pocket." Chung Dao Lei sighed. "Can you not be so dramatic for once?" Zilong, however, wasted no time. "I'll take care of him." With an effortless leap, Zilong charged forward. The moment he moved, the bandits scattered, realizing they were not dealing with an ordinary warrior. Before Gao could even react, Zilong's blade was already cutting through the air toward him. The bandits, watching in horror, marveled at his speed. Gao Fei Bao shouted, "Big bro!" Gao, clutching his wound, forced a smirk. "I'm fine." He turned to Chung Dao Lei. "Consider that my thanks for not killing me. Now go." With the path cleared, Chung Dao Lei and his group ascended the mountain. Gao shouted after them. Gao Fei Bao, his expression tight with sorrow, called out, "Big bro." White Wolf, frustrated, muttered, "Little boy, too soft." Gao scowled. "Release my brother." Chung Dao Lei merely smirked. "He'll stay with me for a few days. Don't worry, I'll return him in one piece." Gao's hands clenched into fists. "If anything happens to him, I'll be coming for you." Chung Dao Lei shrugged. "Sure, but coming for me doesn't mean winning against me." Thanks for watching, guys. Comment Flamingo and subscribe for future parts.